Hi. So here we have an argument of fact done in 2024 when the class was still called English 205. Class is now C1001, but don't let that throw you. I have whited out the person's name for obvious reasons. Now this paper I have presented to you as a sample because it illustrates a number of really important concepts and ideas, if you will, that are important to writing a successful argument of fact essay. Some of these are structural, some of these have to do with evidence, analysis, all that good stuff. So first of all, we have a title, right? Dating online is causing loneliness in real life. Now, as a title, that pretty much gives away what the thesis is, which is okay. I mean, it could have been more, subtle, if you will. But at the same token, I'm glad it doesn't say first essay or argument of fact essay, right? It does reflect the content. Now, we talk about in the introduction of your paper that three things should happen. You need to hook the reader, you need to introduce the subject, and you need to present your thesis. So let's take a look at this. It begins, over the past few years, the popularity of dating apps has skyrocketed. As of 2022, 53% of 18 to 29-year-olds have tried their hand at using online dating platforms, Vogels and McLean. So the technique here, of course, is a surprising or unusual statistic. Now, maybe if you're 18 to 29, this is not surprising to you. But to those of us who are, let's say, slightly older, that might be a bit of a shock. Might be, wow, holy cow. Right? And therefore, I think it's a good hook. Now, after introducing the hook, we now need to tell the reader just what the focus of this essay is going to be. With the use of dating apps becoming more commonplace, dating culture has seen a dramatic shift. So there we go, dramatic shift. And many young adults have formed a dependency on these platforms, resulting in a collective resolution that the use of dating apps is the only way to find a partner. Quote, I hate using dating apps. They make me feel so gross. End quote, says Ellie Graham, a senior at San Diego State University. But it feels like that is the only way to meet people these days, and I really want to find my person. Okay, that's kind of a nice quote, right? It makes it very clear just what our focus is going to be. So we are set up for the thesis. Dating apps have significantly impacted young adults' ability to find relationships organically by shifting social norms and discouraging in-person encounters in favor of digital experiences, leading to an increase in casual dating and decreased romantic and sexual satisfaction. So, remember that the argument of fact argues that a condition does exist, right? And that is what is being presented in this thesis right now. Now, because of the nature of this particular topic, the author felt it necessary to do a paragraph of definition. Now, I don't require this. I don't even really talk about it in class normally. But sometimes it might be nice to understand what we're talking about. And while this is not the same as a definition argument, sometimes a little bit of development. So what is a dating app? I don't know. I don't date. I've been married forever. So it really helps me to understand, and a lot of other readers who are not in the dating world. Dating apps are the modernized version of websites such as Match.com and eHarmony, which I never used either. The most popular apps are Hinge, Tinder, and Bumble, and they all share a similar interface. Users create their profiles where they add pictures of themselves and answer prompted questions to give other users an idea of who they are and what they're looking for. Users can set parameters on who they see while swiping based on gender, sexual orientation, physical distance, and age. After creating a profile, users can begin swiping through potential matches. They can swipe left to pass on someone or right to like them if they hope to match with them. These platforms have some sort of special action to express high level of interest, the use of which is limited by the app. It is also possible to subscribe to the premium versions of these apps, which provide the user with more insights into their possible matches, the ability to set stricter limits for whom they see while swiping, and gives them unlimited likes. Wow, imagine. Once two users match, they can chat via the app and start forming their connection. Now, one thing that's interesting, I just want to point it out, is there's no documentation for this. In other words, they're not showing you evidence from a source. And in this case, I'm okay with that because this, I would argue, largely follows under pretty much common knowledge for people who are doing this. In other words, well, me, the old married guy, may not necessarily know this stuff. This is pretty well understood. And even I actually understood pretty much most of it. Plus, it's very generalized, right? All this information is very, very generalized. It's not specific to a person or even an app. So I'm okay with this not having any documentation. But once we start digging in, we need documentation. Now, I'm not going to read through the whole essay. It's in front of you. You have the opportunity to do that for yourself. A couple things I would like to point out. Topic sentences. One of the reasons I chose this essay is that the topic sentences are accessible. They're pretty strong. Now, after the definition, and we haven't got to the main body yet, this author is now going to go into concession. Remember, concession is where you deal with the opposite of your argument. In other words, in this case, what are some good things about the dating apps? If you're saying they have these negative qualities, what about the positive qualities? And that's exactly where we head next. It is important to first note the positive aspects of dating apps, such as providing access to a more diverse dating pool, allowing users who are shy or timid in person to feel comfortable engaging with members of their preferred sex, and facilitating the formation of meaningful connections when used for their intended purpose. Okay, so this is a positive thing. What I think is very nice is the author backs it up with a little bit of research. According to Anna Brown, a research methodologist at the Pew Research Center. Now, I point this out because I've never heard of Anna Brown. I'm sure you've never heard of Anna Brown. So when the author chose to introduce Anna Brown's name in the text, this also gave her the opportunity to tell us a little bit of something about her. A research methodologist at Pew Research Center, which is a highly respected research center. Dating apps enable users to meet a wider range of people from different racial, cultural, religious, socioeconomic backgrounds, which may not have been possible through traditional dating methods, quote, couples who meet online, end quote. Now, you might look at that and go, why did the person put the title of the article there? Well, if you go to the Works Cited page, and we can do that actually pretty quickly. Let's do that very fast. What do I see? I actually see two pieces by Anna Brown. Okay, so here's Anna Brown with couples who meet online. And Anna Brown, nearly half of U.S. adults say dating has gotten harder. Okay, so this is interesting and very common. When you find a topic that you're going to explore and you start doing research, it is very common to see some of the same people's names popping up again and again. So alphabetical order is now determined by the C of couples over the N of nearly. This is an article. This is a whole piece here. Okay. So that's why we had that reference. Now, the other thing I will point out is notice that the author does not include the entire title. Just the first few words was all that was needed. Okay, let's go back. Now, there's another statement here. For those who live in areas with limited social opportunities, dating apps can provide an excellent way of meeting potential partners that they might not otherwise encounter. Anderson et al. 32. If you forgot about et al. Or don't remember what it's about, et al. Means and others. Okay, and others. Now we turn it around. Although dating apps have been flooded by an onslaught of users with intentions of casual dating, there are still users that download them intending to find meaningful relationships. When these intentions are clearly communicated, users can find others who are on the same page and sometimes find what they're looking for. Leanne Allen and Chris Blackwell, a young couple who met while in college at San Diego State University and University of California, San Diego, were able to find each other via Hinge. Now I'm going to go back to the Works Cited page really fast because this is a personal interview conducted with the couple by the student author. Right, so she put both their names, personal interview, and the date on which that interview happened. Okay, the date on which that interview happened. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, that was a little too far, wasn't that? So there they are finding each other on Hinge. There's a comment from Leanne Allen, cited to Allen. There's a quote, specific quote from, what's his name? Chris Blackwell. So Blackwell's right here. There we go. However, when users end up deleting their dating apps, only 39% do so because they were successful. The other 61% do so for a variety of reasons, such as being unsuccessful, being harassed, not finding the relationship type they want, dating fatigue, or privacy issues. See Figure 1. Now, this is the last thing I want to talk about before I sort of set you free. This argument of fact has a requirement that you include at least one figure or table. A figure is something we look at, a table is something we read, typically, and it has to be documented. Okay, but the first thing is it's referenced. So you say, see Figure 1. Now, there's a variety of ways we can do this, but the easiest way, I think, for all of us, and I'm skipping through here because I don't remember what page this is on. Okay, we're going to create an appendix. We'll call it appendix. Then you see it says Figure 1, and this is what we have. It's also very important that you cite the source. Down at the bottom, real simple source, Lefevre. This essay had about 7 different figures. Figure 2, Figure 3, color, very nice. I love color. Figures 4 through 6, all from the same source, right? So that comes down here. There's another page for Figure 7, right? Now, I'm going to be honest, it's a little unusual to have that many figures in an essay. Only one is required. But this particular person found a whole bunch, and she wanted to use them all. Just make sure that they are cited specifically in the text. The appendix goes after the essay itself and before the works cited. And then you see the works cited page here. Again, you can explore this on your own time, right? Double spaced, alphabetical order, hanging indentations. This author did a number of personal interviews, and that makes it kind of special. I don't usually see very many of those, but the nature of this topic, the dating topic, I think that really lent itself very nicely to these sorts of conversations. This is pretty good.